Hey folks, Saturday, May 9th. My name is James Ball. I'm the president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers here in Edmonton. And it's a beautiful day out today. Spring has finally arrived. So we had a big consultation today about a plant-wide shift bid. The regular managers were not there, so they had acting managers. So we had to confirm that they actually had the authority to make any changes that we would suggest or to take counteroffers. And they told us they did have the authority, but they had no intention of doing so. Well, that's a good way to start a meeting. So the short version is that the shift bid will only be valid for a couple of months, because we'll do one again shortly. The bidding will begin May 11th, so Monday. And the intention is to implement for June 7th. Originally, they wanted to implement June 1st, I think, or the end of the month. But we asked for another week. So we extended your rotation by 1 week from 4 to 5 weeks. And we did that because the number of persons that are going to move is going to end up with a bunch of resultant vacancies. And some of those people will then be able to bid back onto other positions. So we don't want people being moved from day side onto night side and then having to move back again. So we basically came to an agreement that would allow them to do the full bid and then bid the resultant vacancies. So most of the people will be actually only have to change their life once. But let's get into what I want to talk about, changing it. So we asked them for what their rationale was for making these shift bids. Canada Post likes to do these bids on a regular basis. I think I've been doing them for 3 years, and I've probably been to 5 of these. You just can't leave things alone. And they said that there are too many hours in materials handling. Materials handling is where all the hours go that are unassigned. This is for cleaning up the facility, for moving things around, preparing things, staging stuff. But he said there's too many hours in materials handling. But the membership objected because they're being told that they need to punch into materials handling before they go to their sections to be either assigned their duties or their rotation. And this is a problem because sometimes they'll be told to stay in materials handling when they won't be in materials handling. And according to management in this meeting, you are to punch in to the section and rotation of duties where you know you're going to be. That comes from the management. So make that happen, because if they're going to change shifts based off these material handling numbers, I don't think that's actually why they changed it. But anyway, if they're going to change these shifts based off these material handling numbers, then these numbers need to be accurate. And there may be a disagreement between staffing and operations on how this works. But in that meeting, they said members need to punch in to the section and their rotation every time they come back from their breaks or for whatever reason. Okay, so make that happen. The real problem, of course, is always absenteeism. Night shift has a high amount of absenteeism, and you combine that with the number of people who own positions who are on long-term absences, it just stacks up. You end up with 30 people on a shift where only 10 or 12 of them actually work or exist, and sometimes even fewer come in. And it's clear to me that they're moving these shifts to try to compensate. They're moving 10 people off of parcels on days to 10 people on parcels at night to try and make up for it. But there's still 7 people on days who are long-term absences, which will probably end up on night shift, which then doesn't solve the problem. There is a solution to this problem, but they choose not to use it. It's called 3907, which is long-term absences. They have the option to bid these positions to temporary employees who don't get benefits, who don't get pension. They're cheaper, but they're not doing it. The regional management for Canada Post has basically just said, no, they haven't done it in my entire term. They haven't done it from me being involved in these meetings at all. They will not do it, which is just ridiculous to think of that. Of course, the union's goals are different than the goals of the employer in a lot of ways. One of these goals is minimizing night shift, but they won't go for it. It's in the collective agreement. I believe it's 14.30 day shift assignments, while recognizing that as much as possible the work is normally performed during the day, and the evening and night work should be minimized. The corporation agrees to study the organization of its operations during the lifetime of this agreement in order to review evening and night work, taking into account service levels, costs, and other relevant factors. This contract goes back to 2018, which is, 8 years, and they've never completed this night shift survey. I think they don't want to do it because every other any other research done into this has revealed terrible things like higher rates of cancer, mental health issues, gastrointestinal issues, metabolic disease, diabetes too. These are all higher things that happen when you work night shift on a regular basis, and they don't want to do it. But apparently they are willing to pay the night shift premium and night shift days off, TN days, which are earned through our contract, to give you an extra day off to do things during the day you normally need to do, see a doctor, that sort of thing. The other problem with this shift bid is the way they've got it scheduled. So there's shift 1 will be starting at midnight, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Shift 2 starts at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12. And the shift 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that sort of mess. You basically end up with shifts starting every 2 hours. Well, why is that important? Well, under 3905, it sets out the conditions of how extra hours are offered. And the first, they have to offer extra hours to part-time members, right? And then they have to offer overtime to full-time members. These are people who are present at work. There's way more detail to that under 3905. It's a little bit more complicated. Please talk to your steward if he wants to help with that. But why would the corporation block their ability to call in temps? Because they can't call in these temps when there's part-timers in the building, and it's within 2 hours, I believe, of when your shift ends. So they're setting themselves up so they can't call temps. So we can infer a couple of things here, and I challenged them on this in the meeting. Temporary employees won't be allowed to call in for obvious reasons under the collective agreement. Well, but we also know that overtime is an illusion. It's falsity. It's a rounding error in this region. Regional management has basically been blocking any time of overtime. So now we can't call in temps, and there isn't going to be overtime. So what is that going to allow for? Cross-sectioning. That's it. Just cross-sectioning. Cross-sectioning is a bit of a funny thing. Can they or can't they? Well, they do have the right to manage to a certain degree. If cross-sectioning were to happen a couple of times a week in different sections, that would be okay. But if they're doing it all the time, then the right to manage includes the right to have these consultations and change shifts to satisfy the needs that they have. So yes, they can cross-section from time to time. No, they cannot cross-section all the time. And I called them out on this because this schedule is built to create cross-sectioning. They cannot do that. That's a violation of the collective agreement. By forcing cross-sectioning, they're straight outright violating the collective agreement, your rotations of duties, all those different things. And of course, this isn't addressing the elephant in the room, and that's that the plant has been used for years to accommodate people who have injuries, both long-term and short-term, rather than paying people WCB or minimizing WCB claims. They will accommodate them at work, which I guess, is a good thing. But now we have to cross-section people. But some people's restrictions only allow them to work in specific areas. So it's going to be the same people cross-sectioned again and again and again. And your rotation of duties is there to make sure you're not doing heavy work every 2 hours of your day, right? So you're not like unloading a trailer all day, or going from unloading a trailer to non-con, which is basically heavy parcels that don't meet the conditions of what we're supposed to accept. So you're not doing heavy work every portion of your day. It'd be heavy work, light work, heavy work, light work. So only specific people are going to get cross-sectioned, which is then going to result in injuries. So you'll need to resist this. If they start cross-sectioning you on a regular basis, you're going to need to keep track of when it happened, so that if it's more than a few times a week, that you can grieve them for it. It's a safety hazard. And then also we can encourage other members who should have been offered overtime for this to grieve that as well and get them paid. They're trying to screw you. So you guys need to fight back. You need to turn the tables on them. There's going to be another shift bid soon. If we accept this contract, it'll likely be in October. So keep your chin up. We're going to get through this together. Have a great day.